welcome to this week's episode of Food for Thought, Political Wrap-Up. Yes, once again, we're covering politics because, well, there just doesn't seem to be anything else going on in the world. Oh no, there is March Madness, so we've got a bunch of basketball games going on. But other than that, politics seems to be front and center in America and on Americans' minds today. So I want to welcome you to Food for Thought. Now, we have a really exciting week coming up. This upcoming week on the White House, the drama. We have the Russian hearings. So basically, we're going to start hearing some of the evidence and some of the people who have been investigating the allegations into Russian possible collusion and the connection between the Trump campaign. That's going to happen today. That's going to happen starting tomorrow in Washington, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of Americans tuning in. I know I will be. I know that we're going to hear a lot of things that maybe we didn't expect to hear, or maybe some things we do expect to hear. Okay, the confirmation hearings of proposed new Supreme Court Judge Neil Gorsuch and the fight of the Democratic side to keep the fight on the Democratic side to keep the Affordable Care Act and the fight to kill it and replace it with utter trash known as Don't Care, known as the, the American Health Care Act. But we all are calling it Don't Care because when you read everything that it proposes or doesn't give you, it pretty much says they just don't care. They only care about the 1%, the rich people who can afford any price health care anyhow. So it doesn't benefit anybody but the rich, and it doesn't benefit anybody but the people who have plenty already. So anyhow, and I want to give you a spoiler alert. The spoiler alert is we're expecting tomorrow the statement from FBI Director James Comey, who is going to basically vindicate President Obama tomorrow. You heard it here first. Donald Trump, and we expect him to say, Donald Trump, there was no wiretapping. And I want to say to Donald Trump, the only wiretapping that happened is in your mind. In your mind, dude. Okay,
He'd have to have a mind before it could be there.
Okay, well, then in the blank space between his two ears. Okay, so the moron in charge, meaning Donald Trump, just gave a few moronic statements aboard Air Force One to the press that are traveling with him back from Florida. Yet again, he went to Florida this weekend. And, people, let's think about this. So he pops out of the White House, around like Friday evening, pops down to his, little mansion down there in Florida and takes in a couple of, well, you can't just take in a couple of holes of golf. I mean, what's your choice? 8 or 9 holes or 18 holes, I think is your choice. You do either half a course or you do a full course. So he pops down there, does that, supposedly takes in all of these meetings and supposedly works while he's there. And then somewhere around like Sunday afternoon, he's on his way back to the White House. What's the point?
Spending our money.
I don't see any point in
Spending our money at his hotels and his properties where he gets the money and his family gets the money from his visit that we pay for.
I know, and it's an awful lot of travel, though. I mean, physically, just chill out at the White House, dude. Just put your feet up on the freaking coffee table.
Crack a beer, order a quarter pounder with cheese, and
order some pizza and chill out at the White House. Like, why does he feel this need to run away to Florida every single weekend? What's really going on down in Florida? You have to wonder. Why is he leaving? It's almost like there's something else going on that he's able to do down there that he can't do in the White House, and other than golf. I mean, let's face it. There's golf courses in D.C. Now, yes, it did just snow and it's still chilly. And I guess in the next couple of weeks, once the weather warms up, we'll see if he sticks around in D.C. more.
Well, see, if he wanted to golf around D.C., all he had to do is just order in some blue balls. And he could golf in the snow with blue balls.
Tell me, why has he not gone back to Trump Tower? He has not once gone back to Trump Tower.
Because Obama bugged it. Gosh, where have you been?
But his wife and kid live there.
Obama's tapping that too, I guess.
Yeah, oh, well, then she'd be...
Sorry, Brock.
Yeah, and then she'd be a very happy lady. Sorry, did I just say that? But anyhow, no offense, Michelle. But let's face it, there's really you can't compare the two. One is a man and one isn't. And the one that would be a man, for anybody that thinks I might be talking about Trump, hell no, not just no, but hell no. All right, so on the way back from it today, this afternoon, on the way back to D.C., Trump makes a statement that the Koreans are behaving very, very badly. And I have to say to that, really? Wow, we sure needed you to tell us that. What is it with him having to repeat words twice? Normally it's very, very, well, no, and it's very, very. Tell me what you told me this week. When he says very, what does that mean?
He's lying.
He's lying. Or he's trying to really emphasize a point. In this case, we all know the Koreans are behaving badly. We know that their leader is equal on the insanity totem pole as Trump is.
No, I think Trump's got him beat.
Do you really?
Yeah.
See, I actually thought they were pretty equal. The only thing I can say
is
is
they both have tiny hands, though.
Well, but their leader doesn't come out and just... I've never heard him just come or say off the wall things. Like he just doesn't, and I don't think he tweets. So I don't think he just like tweets off the wall whatever comes into his mind. He doesn't like tweet it. So
no, he when something comes into his mind, he just does it. If it's shoot a rocket, we're gonna shoot a rocket today. Well, let's go do it.
Right. His little testing of his rockets. Okay, so this past week, Donald Trump showed up in my state of Tennessee. Totally screwed the city, stopped traffic. There was as many people annoyed by this as there were people that thought it was a cool thing. Can you tell me that after it's been 4 months since he won this election by whatever means it took for him to win, whatever that truth may be, why is he still campaigning? He's been president for 4 months.
Because he lives on... he's got to have that rush, and I guess it's harder to get the cocaine in the White House than it is anything else, so he can go out on the road and do it.
It's probably easier to get it out there. Anyhow, there were as many protesters that showed up for this rally as there were supporters. About 5 to 6 minutes into his speech, a silent protest took place where many just quietly got up and left the venue. See, now these are things you're not hearing and not being reported, and I'm not really sure why. And I know it happened because I know many of the groups that arranged for it to happen. When you see pictures of this venue being more than half empty, that's part of the reason. Because people got tickets, showed up, and then walked out 5 to 6 minutes into his speech to let him know that they don't approve of him and they don't approve of his behavior. So, but what I find to be really, and I don't know if he just pretends, if he's just acting, or if in his mind... Even after people walked out, he still saw bodies and faces in those seats. Because he swears that that it was a packed house. He swears everybody loved him. He was there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
He also swears that the hair he has is real.
Well, some of it is, but it's also, he takes pills.
And you have to tape it down. I've seen some of those pictures of his hair taped.
Yeah. But anyhow, it just further goes to show that he really doesn't know the truth between reality or fantasy. This past week, Donald Trump continued his false accusations about Barack Obama. So again, he continued to lie about former President Barack Obama. And in doing so, he made his whole administration look like fools, but nobody, and I repeat, nobody looked more foolish than Sean Spicer. During his press conferences this week, the most ridiculous things were said by him. I can't even repeat them. If you didn't see some of these things, you need to get on YouTube, and you need to try to find them on YouTube. And as a matter of fact, you'll probably see one or two of them on the Daily Banner. So make sure to go to thedailybanner.com and look for some of these video clips of Sean Spicer this week. You really have to wonder, was this Sean Spicer or was it, Melissa McCartney being Sean Spicer? Because some of the things that he says, like he was saying things like, yeah, that's cute, that's real cute. What press secretary says that's cute to the press? I mean, or you're cherry picking. It's just ridiculous. Anyhow, Trump insulted Angela Merkel. Now, the Chancellor of Germany came all the way to Washington, D.C., and she probably really had to think long and hard before making this trip because Donald Trump spent the last year and a half insulting her publicly. I know if it was me, I would have probably not made that trip. But then again, I haven't been a chancellor of a country. So I never had the occasion to have to swallow my pride for the good of the people like she did, and made that trip. Anyhow, he insulted her with his lack of respect and enthusiasm meeting with her. It was apparent by his body language and facial expressions. Can anybody see any of this? That he didn't want to be there and that he doesn't like her. Her facial expressions indicated that he's still very capable of shocking her. She was shocked by some of the things that he said right in front of her. He called, there was a German reporter there, and the German reporter asked him a question, and he didn't like the question, so he turned around and called the German reporter fake news. He called one of the reporters from her country fake news. The look of shock on her face, and then, of course, other ridiculous things that he said, the look of disgust on her face, which is priceless. This woman, I will tell you, she has extreme facial expressions. I know the Daily Banner did a piece on them, on her different relationships through the years with different people, U.S. leaders, and there was both George Bushes, and her smiling with them, her smiling with Barack Obama. Barack Obama and Angela Merkel's relationship pretty much was very well known as being very, very friendly. They adored each other, and the smiles on her face were clear. There are also many pictures of her and Hillary Clinton, and they just look like best gal pals in these photos. So we know that Angela Merkel is very able to smile, and she's very able to look and feel happy. Being around Donald Trump did not make her happy, but then again, it wouldn't make me happy either. So anyhow, Trump, via Sean Spicer, insulted the British by accusing them of helping Obama spy on Trump using British intelligence. Well, then the Brits and the British intelligence, who never ever respond to anything, anytime, anywhere, any place, felt obliged to come out and loudly deny these allegations as bullcrap. Okay, so let's move on to Trump's budget. He released his budget, his horrendously offensive and distinctly abusive and mean-spirited budget this week. And in this budget, he cut federal funding to Meals on Wheels. Now, Meals on Wheels is not 100% federally funded, so it will continue. But it was already struggling, and it could not afford to lose any more funding. So what's going to happen is, because there isn't enough funding, either all the states and private groups, private sectors, donate more, volunteer more time to the program, or there are going to be hungry, some of our elders, our seniors, people that we should love and respect and take care of, are literally going to starve to death alone in their homes. A lot of these seniors, the Meals on Wheels people, are the only people they will see in a given day, and some in a given week. And if you don't understand that concept, that these people are alone day after day, where they can fall, not be able to get up, or they can fall ill and be in a semi-conscious state, and the only person that would have a chance of discovering this would be a Meals on Wheels worker to save their life. Basically, what this new budget, what Trump care or Ryan care or don't care is bringing about is them trying to exterminate the elderly quick, so that we have no elderly to take care of and we have no sick to take care of in this country. It's basically a way of, once you hit a certain age, you should just be gone. And that's kind of how this government's looking at it. At least that's how I feel about it, because they're cutting all those programs, and also programs for the poor. And then I want to see how you feel about this in a minute, my wonderful director, producer. He also cut funding for after-school programs. Now, a lot of these after-school programs are for lower-income families that can't afford childcare. So what happens if there's nowhere for these kids to go after school? What happens? I'm asking you, what happens?
What happens? I guess they go play polo. That's what the rich kids would be doing. If
No,
they
really,
nothing
what
to do, they'd
happens
go
to
play
these
polo.
kids if there's no after-school programs for them? What are the choices here if there's no after-school
It
programs?
would be crime.
Well, not just crime.
Gangs.
They're either going to be home alone, which then leads to all kinds of horrible things, or their parents have to quit their jobs, which then leads to what? More people being on welfare.
But welfare's getting cut, so there'd be more people with nothing.
Well, so now we're back to killing off the elderly and killing off the poor.
It's an end run around getting rid of Social Security. If nobody lives long enough to get to Social Security, they don't have to worry about what they do to it.
I don't. It's like, is this really their end game? Because this is what's going to result in these moves. This is what's going to happen. It's not going to happen next week. It might not even happen next year. But if it continues on a couple of years, it will happen. Okay, so he also cut funding for the arts and creative programs. So, PBS, and this is like Sesame Street and all of these shows that our children, these educational and learning shows that our children grew up, knowing and loving. He cut funding to them. So again, there'll be more private funding that has to be raised for them, or these programs will just cease to exist. So basically, what the federal government is saying is, we don't care about any of these. Any kind of family funding or any community funding. We just don't care. We just want to spend money on building a wall and, bullets? Building walls and bullets for the armed service, because he's giving more money to the armed services, which, there's a heavy debate that we don't need more money going to our armed services. So, and he's also cutting vet programs when he campaigned on helping vets. By cutting the EPA, which is like 1/3 of the EPA employees were previous veterans. So now we've got all these veterans worrying about losing their jobs. Meanwhile, he campaigned on saying he was going to help veterans. Well, that's not what's happening here. Okay, so we talked before about that. He went to Florida again this weekend. Protecting Donald Trump and his family, and when I say his family, we mean Ivanka, her husband, her kids. We mean Donald Jr., his wife, his kids. We mean Eric, his wife, his kids. And of course, we can't forget Melania and Barron. What a name. And Barron, who live separately from Donald. So anyhow, we're spending millions of dollars a week when you add up how much we have to spend to protect Donald in the White House, Melania in Trump Tower, Donald Jr., Eric, and Ivanka and the kids. We're spending millions of dollars a week. People, do you understand what that means? Millions of dollars a week go to protecting this man and his family. Now, we have always in the past protected our presidents and their families. There was never any president who had family members that traveled to different countries all the time, on a weekly basis. Never. Well, that's a loud vehicle. Okay, so anyhow, Michael Flynn, we discovered this week that Michael Flynn was paid $33,000 by Russian TV in 2015. He withheld this information. What do you think, producer, director, what do you think should happen to Mike Flynn, the guy who tweeted lies about Hillary Clinton running a pedophile ring, and seems to have been on the Russian payroll and was Trump's #1 pick for our national security? What do you think should happen to him?
Why are you singling him out? Why not just everybody in the Trump campaign?
Well, because just this week we discovered he was actually paid $33,000 for one TV appearance. That's some nice money, by the way. $33,000 for one little TV appearance.
In Russia.
In Russia, on Russian television, which is controlled and owned by Vladimir Putin, the Russian government, i.e. Vladdy. What do you think should happen to him?
I think he should be brought up on charges of treason.
I agree. Okay, well, that's about it. We're out of time, so I want to say that that's all for now. Thanks for tuning in to Food for Thought. Please leave your comments and thoughts below and tell me how you feel. If you think if you agree with me and understand what I'm saying, if you think I'm nuts, whatever you want to say about me, I don't care. I will respond to you. And I want to say have a great day, have a great week. Tune in to the the big Russian interrogations or Russian hearings this week, and just have a wonderful weekend. Peace out.
Track Studio.